Roll Tide, everyone. Welcome in. It is Tuesday night. No, we did not get messed up with daylight savings time. We are starting at a very special time tonight because of our great guest. We have to do things right because it is Alabama versus LSU week. Before we get into everything, do me a few favors. As you see on the screen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're in the live chat, get down and comment as much as you like tonight. We need to hear from you. If you're watching the replay, get in the comment section below. Let us know what you think, whether you agree, disagree. Everything is accepted. I'm your host, Justin Riley, and my all-star panel tonight is headlined by 1999 All-SEC linebacker Marvin Constant.
Roll Tide.
And the king of the strip in Tuscaloosa, who sometimes serves as a double agent for Ole Miss and Alabama, the illustrious Daniel Pettey.
What is up? I'm going to wake Marvin up there. I'm going to come in that screen, get Marvin going. What's up, Marvin? Let's go. It's LSU week.
What's up?
Wow. Maybe if he had some rain body fuel sponsor needed, he could get a little more hyped up. But, hey, I don't doubt this man's going to get hyped for this game. He always does. But we got a special guest in the building, as I mentioned before. He's just your average 6'10" senior writer from 247 Sports, covering the LSU Tigers. Welcome to the Bama Standard for the first time, Glen West. What is going on, brother?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. I got a couple rolled tides. I guess I'm not allowed to do a Go Tigers, huh? That's kind of –
Let them have it.
Let them have it, brother.
Well, you kind of snuck it in without asking.
There you go.
You did it anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's a writer's trick right there, I guess.
Well, being a senior writer, you know all the tricks, right?
Well, I don't know about that, but we're trying.
Well, I assume you haven't got very much sleep over the course of the past, week and a half. Things have not been boring in your world. Kind of catch us up to speed about over there in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, so it's been as crazy of a 10-day stretch as certainly I've ever had in my career, and just talking with a bunch of seasoned veteran writers here in Baton Rouge in their 20, 30-year careers, they can't remember a 10-day stretch quite like this. That, of course, starts with Brian Kelly being fired on Sunday by the athletic director Scott Woodward, the governor Jeff Landry coming out and saying a few days later that, and by no uncertain terms, will Scott Woodward be making this next hire, the next football coach for LSU. Scott Woodward then being fired the very next day as the LSU athletic director. A couple days later, or I should say today on Tuesday, LSU announces their new university president, Wade Roos. They got him from McNeese State. And then a couple hours later, it's breaking news that LSU has hired their next athletic director, Verge Osbury, who was the guy that they promoted from the interim. He was their interim head athletic director for about 4 days, and now he's the full-time athletic director at LSU going forward here. So it's been wild, crazy last week and a half for sure. And just the tip of the iceberg, I fear, of what's to come now as they shift their focus towards finding the next head coach for this program.
Man, absolutely. Hey, hopefully we can give you a little bit of a distraction tonight.
I'd love to
really.
talk football. I want to talk
football
for sure. Yeah.
All right, before we kind of jump into the game, we have something that happened over the weekend. I'd like to collect the thoughts of the panel concerning Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. was arrested this last Saturday on charges of reckless endangerment, attempting to elude, and speeding. He was booked and released on bond not long after. Coach Kalen DeBoer has suspended him indefinitely while things get sorted out. Now, look, no one is here to condemn this kid or pile on. He's young. He made a mistake, and there's plenty of time for him to learn from it. What matters now is what happens next. Guys, give me your thoughts when you heard the news that popped out over the weekend. I'll start with you, Marvin. What are your thoughts in terms of Patrick and what this means for him and possibly his future at Alabama? And then we'll go to Pettey and let Glen weigh in.
I have no thoughts. He did what most of us would have damn did at that age who played football. given we had way more money than our parents and more money than we knew what to damn do with in playing football at the University of Alabama on top of the damn world. He did what the majority of us would have damn done. So, no, I have no thoughts on it. Hell, we did far worse. The only difference is there was no social media and camera phones around to damn talk about it. So, again, the man made a mistake. Grant him grace. It is what it is. Coach, I always say, you don't win with nice guys any damn way. You win with 8 convicts and 3 Catholics. So, again, what are we talking about this for?
Well, Pettey, what are your thoughts? It's funny is that when stuff like this happens, fans quickly react and say, hey, actually, this isn't a bad thing. Bama's back. If people aren't getting in trouble, we're not winning.
Yeah, I mean, you don't win a title till somebody gets arrested. I mean, if he was at Georgia, he would have got a promotion to the first team defense. But I don't know, man. With so much going on in the world, a kid's going to do some dumb stuff. Like, I'm not going to convict him too much. I was in college for 8 years and I don't have a doctor in front of my name. There was probably some not wise decisions in that greater decade of my college life. So yeah, I'm like Marvin. I'm not sitting in this glass house casting stones, but no, man. Idiot, don't blow chances, because I'll say this, Dre, I thought it was playing really good. Everybody loved him because he came in and he had a little bit of that attitude. Maybe we know now, like Marvin said, these aren't choir boys.
He's not blowing a chance, Pettey. Again, he's doing he's not any of us. Well, I'm not gonna say what we would have done. Hell, he's doing the same things we did. Again, we just didn't get caught because there was no cameras.
How long is he suspended? I mean, if he's not kicked off the team, it's no big. Yeah, what's he, a game or two?
Man.
Well, until everything is sorted out. 1 game
suspension and go on and watch your damn business. 1 game is penalty enough. Okay, I'm sure he's gonna learn a life lesson from this, because again, here's the thing you got to understand: it's one thing to get in trouble, another to be a star athlete and get in trouble, because then it's all over the news. So now you got to worry about the family and what everyone else is saying. Most guys learn from those mistakes because they want to put their family in those type of situations. So I'm hoping this young man learned from it and he's going to be better for it, and he's going to go on about his life. Great dad, great dude. I love him. Listen, man, he's going to be fine. Again, this is part of football.
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Simmons beat the hell out of a woman on a video. He just missed like a non-conference game, and he went on to be an NFL All-Pro. He'll be all right.
Well, you get to weigh in last, Glenn, in terms of this.
How do I follow that up? To be quite honest, I hadn't heard of this story a whole ton. I've been very, very busy the last 10 days, as you guys can maybe imagine. But look, I mean, whenever something like that happens, you just hope that nobody gets hurt in the process. And it sounds like that is not the case. And like you guys mentioned, hopefully it's a good life lesson for him, and that he can bounce back from it sooner than later.
Like Marvin said, we've all done things. If we're completely honest, we're not going to cast any stones. Hell, Marvin got us put on probation. So
I did not get us put on probation. That was not me. No.
I don't know. I got a video saying that we did that.
Guilt by association.
No.
All right. So I just wanted to lightly touch on that, because that was
I was going to be amazed if Glenn had any take on this. I'm like, man, if he even heard this story, I'll be absolutely floored right now. Like,
I saw it on social media a little bit, but I can't say that I know too much about the details.
I mean, did y'all even know you're playing Alabama this week? That happened Saturday.
We knew we were playing Alabama. I'm not sure when we're traveling to Alabama. We know we were playing them this week, for sure.
All right. We've talked enough about that. We need to transition to the game at hand. But to be honest, if we jump to the game, we're kind of getting in the middle of everything. You touched on lightly already, Glenn, the fallout of Brian Kelly getting fired. We have our own perceptions. Sometimes perception is reality. Sometimes perception is not reality at all. So we're going to go straight to the source. What has been the fallout in terms of how the players are responding? Are they downtrodden, or are they looking at like, glad he's gone? Where is everyone in the current state of things? And I want to hear from Pettey and then Marvin.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because we actually just got done talking with a couple of the players about 20 minutes ago. And so we had a great chat with like 4 of their veteran players, and they all talked about how, the first couple of days it was a pretty roller coaster ride for everybody. They didn't really know what the structure was like. They called So essentially how it played out on Sunday is that by mid-afternoon, they had found out that Brian Kelly had been fired, and they had called a team meeting for 8 o'clock that night. And that team meeting included, conversations from quick talking points from Brian Kelly, from Scott Woodward, who was then the athletic director, and then Frank Wilson, who was promoted to the interim head coach for the next month. And so the whole thing lasted about 12 minutes. It was a very quick thing. And as we kind of saw players walking out, I think it was a little bit of a maudlin feeling. They didn't really know how to react, I think, in the moment. And so you take a few days to kind of, absorb your thoughts here. And when we were able to talk to them tonight, they said that they've really leaned heavily on this coaching staff that remains. Not only Brian Kelly was fired, but Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator, was fired. And so they've done some reshuffling with their offense. The offensive players today talked a lot about how they're going to be trying to lean into the run for this game against Alabama. That's something that they've been trying to trend upwards in.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Shit.
Yeah.
Come on, run the damn ball every play against this defense.
Well, Frank Wilson is the interim head coach, and he's also their running backs coach, so you can see why they're leaning into that. And then Alex Atkins is actually their run game coordinator. They got him from Florida State this last offseason, and he's been kind of their tight ends coach / run game coordinator. So I would expect you see a lot of LSU leaning into the run today or this weekend. But yeah, look, the players, they got tough heads on their shoulders. Wes Weeks, who was a senior linebacker on this team, talked about how his first year came to an end and in Virginia, and they fired his head coach too midseason. And so it's kind of come full circle for him, because this is his last 4 games of eligibility, where now his next head coach is fired towards the end of his career. So it's a pretty crazy last 10-day stretch. I know I laid out some of it here earlier in the first spiel, so I won't go through all that again. But from a player perspective, I think they've kind of moved on and are just kind of ready to try to finish this thing out the right way.
Absolutely. Pettey, this could be a breath of fresh air for LSU. Hey, it may make them even more dangerous. We saw the effect of Billy Napier being fired on Florida. They seem to be more inspired. They play arguably the best game this past weekend against Georgia. What do you see happening with the firing of Brian Kelly as we head into this important game?
Well, look, fits, I think, matter to a degree. It's not everything. Ed Ordron was the perfect fit, but I mean, once his coordinators went out and the recruiting went out, it didn't work. But this isn't, I'm not saying anything profound here. Brian Kelly, that was square peg round hole. Doesn't even, the whole accent, the weird recruiting videos, all that. I just don't, it never worked. So yeah, I do think it is a breath of fresh air if LSU, but man, you've got to, in this new era, there's more to it. We talked about it before show. LSU's such an attractive job when things are going right. Well, they got to get things right. They got to have everything kind of pulling in the right area, because we're now in the Wild West, where there's, Florida's looking for a coach, Auburn's looking for a coach, Penn State's looking for a coach. You better get this right. If you don't, there's only so many coaches out there. Lane Kiffin can't coach at 27 different places. But I do see it as a breath of fresh air. I don't think you can only tell so much from the sideline. It was obvious Garrett Nussmeier and Brian Kelly weren't going to be writing each other birthday cards for once their careers ended. And Frank Wilson, and I want to kind of get into this with you, Glenn. He's a New Orleans guy. Frank Wilson is Louisiana. He's more Louisiana than Ed Ordron. He coached in the high school ranks in New Orleans for years and years. Coached the Reggie Bushes, the Joe McKnights, and all those kids. I really kind of expect if anybody could get those kids and the talent down in LSU to play for the 3 letters on that helmet, Frank Wilson's that guy. You're going to get – he's the perfect hire, I think, and you can speak to this, Glenn, to be that interim for LSU to get the most out of what's still there, because he is so much Louisiana in him. So I do expect whatever bullets LSU has left in the gun of this crazy-ass season – to be able to be fired by Frank. Am I crazy with that thought?
No, I think you're right on the money there. He is the godfather of Louisiana recruiting. And so a lot of the Louisiana players that LSU has on this current roster, and there are a lot of them, they were recruited heavily by Frank Wilson, and they have very personal relationships with him. Their families have very personal relationships with him. He is as respected a person in this football program and really athletic department as you can find. I think they'll play for Frank, and just the messaging that we've heard from him over the last couple press conferences that we've gotten to speak with him, he's done a great job of just conveying the message of finishing this season off the right way. These players, they still have something to play for this year. I know that, coming into the year that they felt like they had a roster that can compete for the college football playoff. And, now, before November, that those hopes are dashed. But for guys like Garrett Nussmeier, it's playing for the future NFL draft prospects. For several other guys on this team, it's going to be playing in front of 130 other college football programs that might be looking at them in the transfer portal. And then for a lot of these younger guys that I think you're going to see interwoven into this game and really throughout the rest of November, it's about maybe solidifying a spot on next year's roster with the next head coach. And so those are all messages that I think Frank and this staff have really tried to hammer home with these players. And, just a couple of the veteran guys we talked to today certainly seem responsive to that and are I think are going to play for him, and they're going to play for LSU here over these next 4 games.
All right, Marvin, you're up.
The fallout of Brian Kelly firing. I don't think it's a breath of fresh air for the fan base. I really don't. I don't think the fan base truly understands what this means. Whereas you all may be happy that Brian Kelly is gone because you didn't think he was the appropriate fit for your program, there's an underlying issue here that a lot of people don't consider when you fire a coach. You have to now go find a new coach. When you find said new coach more than likely will have different schemes than said previous coach. So your current roster is built around the fired guy's scheme. So when new guy comes in, it's not guaranteed that what's on the roster will be a fit for his scheme. So when these kids have taken this time to take their official visits and they put all this thought and effort in the college that they're going to choose, and they choose to go to this school, and then a year, 2 years later, the coach is fired. Now this kid has to wonder about his future, where he's going to end up, if he's going to still be at the school. If he goes into the portal, will he be picked up? Who has the scholarship numbers to give him a scholarship? NIL, what money am I going to get when I enter the portal? There's so many unknowns that you're putting 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids into right now that people don't consider because the fan base is unhappy that they weren't winning. Do you understand how many lives are derailed when you fire a coach? It used to be bad before NIL. Now it's even worse given you have monetary value involved when it comes to these kids. You don't know who in this kid's house is benefiting from him getting said funds that would have been feeding them that they normally wouldn't eat. Okay. But now coach is fired. So now you get a new coach that comes in. So everything may change. So again, you don't understand the lives that are truly impacted by the firing of this coach. So I'm going to say the fallout of firing Brian Kelly will not truly be realized for another 5 to 8 years till you see the future of these kids, whether or not they go to the NFL, whether or not they go off in society, become productive members. That's when you can tell the true impact of firing Brian Kelly.
Well said. Well, before we get into the game, Marvin, we got a sponsor who makes it all happen. Talk to us about what Alabama fans need to be carrying to Bryant-Denny Stadium this Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Central, as the Tigers come.
All right, good people. You know what time it is. You know the Tigers are coming to T-Town. It's always a close game. But your title towels may just be the difference maker, people. Visit whitwillsports.com, enter the promo code, the Bama Standard, for your 10% off discount. And make sure you have your title towel in Bryant-Denny Stadium this Saturday, baby, because I smell what the Tide is cooking, baby. Visit whitwillsports.com.
I always love a rock. Mention there. All right, it's time, guys. Alabama versus LSU. We got the man here to talk about it. Alabama is a 10.5 favorite, and According to the first playoff rankings, we are at number 4. So I got to ask the question, with everything that's been going, the staff departures, is this game still as big as it used to be? Or did it lose a little bit of juice? Here's another question. Should Alabama be more concerned of LSU now as opposed to 10 days ago when everything was going all right? Or did this bye week breathe life into Alabama? Hell, we know we desperately needed it. Well, what sticks out to you the most about this game? To me, it's still a pretty big deal. A lot on the line. Next 2 games for Alabama, definitely playing games for the playoffs. Nothing secure just yet. But, Glenn, off the top of the page, what jumps out to you the most that we really need to pay attention to when it comes to this LSU team and the game overall?
Yeah, I think for me, probably just the mindset that this group is going to play with on Saturday. It's going to be very interesting to see. This team has been beaten up pretty good the last 10 days, but if you go even prior to that, the Texas A&M game was just a symptom of what's been going wrong for this program for really the last 3 or 4 years. It's just they've never been in sync from an offensive perspective, defense, and then special teams. They've just never been able to click consistently to win at the highest level, and that certainly played out a couple weeks ago at Texas A&M, and why I think you saw a lot of the change that's really kind of transpired here over the last 10 days. So for me, when you look at this game and you look at the preparation for this game for LSU, I really kind of go towards a physicality, towards the mindset perspective for this team. Does all the change that's happened in the last couple weeks, does that fuel this team, or does it further let this thing get off the rails? And they were very much on their way to letting this off the rails if Brian Kelly was still the head coach, if they were just kind of to keep this thing as the status quo. I think that they're going to respond in a very in an immensely tough way. Whether that means this group loses by 10 points, by 20 points, by less than a score, I'm not sure. But I think this team has some fight left in them, and I think for me, when I'm looking at this game and just kind of dissecting it, the real area here where I think LSU can maybe have some success if they're able to get the run game going. And they have a couple really talented running backs in Harlan Berry and Caden Durham, who they've really leaned into a little bit more over the last couple of weeks. Berry in particular is a freshman 5-star that they've got out of New Orleans at St. Martin's Academy, who they feel really good about and feel like he's really right there to kind of break out. And for me, like, this game is going to have to really come down to, can LSU control the game clock? Can they limit the possessions of Alabama's offense? Because I do think what Ty Simpson's been able to do, what this passing offense has been able to do the last 7 weeks, very efficient, very consistent. I think that those guys are going to be able to put up some points on LSU, but the way that you can combat that is by this offense being able to kind of drain the clock and maybe try to take away a couple possessions with some longer drawn out drives. And so that's probably a big priority focus for me from an offensive perspective. Do you want anything from like a defensive side, or is there anything that you guys are looking at from this game from Alabama's perspective on what they can kind of do to limit LSU's effectiveness in the run?
You got it, Marvin? You want me to
go? Go ahead, Marvin.
Well, I mean, when you look at this game as a whole, you got to understand the weakness of Alabama's defense, stopping the damn run. Yeah. So anybody with any sense is going to come in and try to run the ball until you're proven that you can't run the ball. Then I would go to other options. So with the defense like Alabama's, I would run it. I would sprinkle in some screen passes and a few other things. I would sprinkle in some counters because they struggle with eye discipline getting over the top. So these are the things that I would do to get Alabama's defense off track and in a bind. But again, you got to realize something, though. Just fire your coach. You don't know what you're going to get from your interim head coach. You don't know what they're going to run. So that makes it hard to game plan, because all the film that you've been watching all season is going to be from this season, last season, all what Brian Kelly had in place. Now you got to throw all that out the window because you have no clue what they're about to run. You don't know their identity at all at this point. So it's a toss-up. You have to prepare for the pass and the run as well as unknowns. So I think that this game will be competitive, but I see Alabama pulling away late. But it's going to be one of those things where if we don't put them away early and we leave them in the game, it's going to be a problem. We're going to have to put them away early. Like when we went to South Carolina, I said the same thing. I said, if we don't put them away early, it's going to be a problem. And it was. Here's the same situation setting up with LSU. If we don't put them away early, it's going to be a problem because they have the talent there. That's not the issue. For whatever reason, they just couldn't put all the pieces together. But the talent is there. So don't overlook them. It's just we need to put them away early so that we can continue to build upon our own momentum and prepare for our own playoff run. If we continue to linger and play around in these games, that's when you get bad things to happen. So,
well, here's the question based off both of what you said. You talked about LSU having two good running backs and needing to establish a run. Marvin saying that's a weakness of Alabama. But here's my question. You alluded to this earlier, Glenn. Before the season, there was a lot of talk about LSU having the tools, and they went heavy into the portal and the defense was a lot better. They got weapons at offense. But it's like everybody kind of glossed over the fact that 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are now in the NFL. One of them starting for the Patriots. He didn't get touched much last year. And then going into the season, Nuss was kind of injured and nobody talked about it. It wasn't the same Nussmeier. A, how healthy is Nussmeier? And B, does this offensive line have what it takes to establish a run game to control the clock?
It's a great question. And I think for me, when you look at this offensive line, it has been by far the biggest weakness, and they could be even down more players come Saturday. Their freshman offensive lineman, Carius Kern, who they'd kind of leaned into over the previous couple weeks. He's been banged up. They're not sure if he's going to play. Nussmeier has been getting absolutely drilled the last 2 games. I mean, A&M finally got home for 7 sacks on him. But for Vanderbilt, they also got a ton of pressure on him. They just weren't able to quite bring him down because he actually is pretty good at maneuvering in the pocket and getting the ball out pretty quickly. But he's been getting just absolutely destroyed back there. And that's going to have to be a major point of emphasis for LSU's offense, is to try to, get the ball out quickly when they do have to pass. And they've talked a little bit about getting Michael Van Buren a little bit more reps. And for those who might not know, Michael Van Buren is a transfer from Mississippi State, was a freshman last year, has some mobility that he can maybe maneuver out of the pocket a little bit and avoid some of the pressure that LSU could be facing. I think you could see him in some 3rd down yardage situations, some red zone, some goal line. They're going to try to mix him up. And to y'all's point earlier, like, there is an element to not really knowing what LSU has with their offense right now, because they are going to switch things up. Like, that is their plan, is to switch things up a little bit offensively, because they've moved on from not only their head coach, but their offensive coordinator as well. And, their offensive coordinator and Nussmeier had a really, really strong relationship. And so this offensive line is going to have to really step up. I have my doubts about them being able to do so in the pass game, but they have shown some strides in the run game over the last couple of weeks that leave me at least a little bit more optimistic from that perspective. But certainly from an offensive perspective, you need to be able to do both in this game if you're LSU. And I don't have a whole ton of faith that they're going to be able to get that done for 4 quarters.
Got a question for you. We're talking a lot about LSU's offense and Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, it definitely need to have a focal point over there, but I want to turn to the defensive side of the ball. LSU has played its last 2 games without junior linebacker Whit Weeks due to ankle injury. He's been listed as questionable, been walking around in a boot until this week. He's a leader of that defense. If he's able to go, how much better does this defense become?
Yeah, he's a playmaker for sure. Witt's a guy that can get in the backfield and create some havoc, create some pressure. And I think, honestly, for LSU's defense to have a chance of getting off the field, that's what they're going to have to do with Ty Simpson here. I know Simpson's a guy that has a little bit of mobility himself. but maybe not to the degree that LSU's faced the previous couple of weeks with Marcel Reed and Diego Pavia. Those are two of the better running quarterbacks, I think, in the country, and just really great improvisational guys. Simpson's a guy who I think can escape the pocket, but he's always looking downfield to pass. And I think probably the biggest strength of LSU's defense to this point this year has been its secondary. And so those guys are really going to have to step up and play well. Monsieur Delane is a potential first-round pick at cornerback. DJ Pickett is a 5-star corner from that they got from Florida this last year. And then PJ Woodland's another guy in the program who's developed and played well. So for me, having a guy like Whit Weeks who can, potentially rush the passer and make things a little bit more difficult from that perspective only helps this defense. This was a front seven and a defensive line in particular that really got off to a strong start in the first month of September. They did a great job of really slowing down the Clemson offense, the Florida offense, and we've come to learn that those offenses were performing well below what they were expected to coming into the year. But those also have very similar quarterbacks in terms of style and in terms of what they want to do from a passing perspective. But Simpson's just been on a whole nother level efficiency wise from those other guys. So I'm not trying to compare. I'm just trying to compare styles of quarterback maybe as opposed to the actual results. But certainly having a guy like Whit Weeks back there to wreak some havoc will be interesting. I don't know that he plays, though. I have very high skepticism that he's going to be able to play in this game. And so that's going to be another wrinkle that you're going to have to overcome if you're LSU.
Couldn't too busy with Landry at Kiffin's house recruiting Kiffin down to LSU.
Ongoing talks, I'm sure, in the Kiffin household for sure. But Whit, the thing about Whit is he's got, if he doesn't play another snap this year, he's got another year of eligibility. And he does love LSU. He loves this place. And I think some real interesting conversations about whether or not he could return next year start to happen if he doesn't play, because he was a guy that I think a lot of people thought could be a day 2 draft pick coming into the year. And he hadn't had the reps this year to really kind of take that next step as a player. So some very interesting conversations will have to happen if he's not back out there at all in 2025.
When it seems like he's got his brothers on the team. It seems like a family. It's a very happy situation. Let's be real. You make a lot of money in college these days. It's an easier decision to kind of stay around a little bit if it's working.
Yeah, especially as a leader of the team and, a guy that I think is going to, if he did come back, would probably get one of the big numbers, whether it's 18 or 7. Those are kind of the big, rally cry numbers for LSU's football program. But he's a really good player when he's healthy, but he just hasn't been healthy really since he kind of broke his ankle in the bowl game earlier this year, and he's just never been able to kind of get fully back from that. Absolutely.
Now we're talking about Ty Simpson being able to find success against arguably one of the better secondaries he's faced. Let's be honest, and you gave good reasons why they're the best secondary. So, and I've been feeling this the entire year. There's going to come a point to where we're going to have to become more balanced. We're up to this point, 9 games in, we haven't been able to establish the run. Some would say if you hadn't been able to do it by now, it's not going to change. So my question to my Bama guys, and Glenn, you're more than welcome to weigh in, what does Ryan Grubb do to utilize those talented backs, especially Daniel Hill, a guy who's really come on strong here as of late, and really take the pressure off of Ty Simpson? Start me out, Marvin, then we'll go to Pettey. And Glenn, if you want to weigh in, I'll let you go last.
I mean, you ask me, what does he do? Yeah, I mean, he hadn't damn done it yet. So what is he going to do different November the 8th that he hadn't done in August, September, October? Hell, until our offensive linemen can run block appropriately, we won't be able to run the damn ball. It's just that simple. And clearly they hadn't found options to replace their guys, because hopefully they would have at this point. So to me, in this situation, when you cannot effectively run the ball, you have to come up with ways to run the ball. So with that being said, how do you put your offensive lineman in the best position? Do you need to run counters? Do you need to run draws? Do you need to run screens? What do you need to run to put your offensive line in the best position to where they can effectively run block? Do you need to run sprint out? Do you need to run RPO? What do you need to do to get the defensive lineman to slow down enough to where your offensive line can begin to assert themselves? That's the $1 million question to solving Alabama's run game, because clearly just lining up and running the ball is not working. So what can we do outside of that to get the defensive line off their game? Again, whether that's counters, draws, screens, whatever you got to run, whatever window dressing, whatever eye candy you got to give it to them. Because again, this lining up and being the Alabama of old is not there.
Yeah. Pettey, we got the full services of Lotzier Brooks and Isaiah Horton back to complement Jeremy Bernard and Wyan Williams. Do we look to them again to be the answer in a game of this magnitude? Or do we hope and pray that these running backs can get something going? Where do you feel like we need to be looking the most?
Look, this point in the season, this isn't week 3 or week 4 anymore where you're saying, oh, that can be an aberration or this can get better. I mean, you are what your numbers say you are. I think Hill's shown improvement throughout the season, so maybe you can lean a little more on Daniel Hill in the run game and his balance. But, yeah, your receivers are coming back healthy. That was crucial in the off week. Maybe Jam got his step back. He seemed to step slow since coming off the injury. But I just think it is what it is at this point. And even with that, it's still a very good offense. So just rely on what's been working. I mean, you got to – in the run game's gotten runs at times when it's needed them. It's not like Marvin said, it's not that traditional Bama smash mouth. This isn't going to be – thank God, maybe it's not going to be that Alabama LSU game that's 6-3 in Bryant Denny, which was whatever. Whatever paper cut score it was, Marvin. I know you loved it.
Greatest game ever.
Yeah,
I was ditching my homecoming date in the middle of our homecoming dance, watching that game in high school. They had it on one of the TVs in the back of the venue, and I was watching it the entire time.
And everybody that played for Swanee had on their leather helmets cheering it on, saying, "This is football."
Greatest defensive game ever.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the most offensively inept game ever outside of Auburn, Mississippi State, 3-2.
That had nothing to do with offense. That was great defense. That's called it.
I think it is what it is, but this is going to be a great test. Look, LSU's defense is legit. There's several teams in the SEC that are weird as hell, that have their defenses are outweighing their offense, and it hadn't been it's just a mismatch. Auburn's one of those that they've got the weirdest stat in all of college football. But LSU's like he mentioned, Glenn, you mentioned that they really loaded up on the defense. So that's where LSU, I think, can make the game testy. Offense being off a week, sometimes that can be a play. It gets you out of rhythm somewhat. But no, it was good in the fact that it gets the offense. I know I'm kind of getting beaten around the bush of. I think it is what it is. This is what you've seen to this offense is what it is. Get the best out of it.
Yeah, I think this has been a better matchup from LSU from an LSU defense perspective than the previous two. Like I think that the strengths of Alabama play into what LSU's defense has been good at this year. My biggest question and my biggest kind of fear for LSU's defense is, are they going to be able to get off the field on third down? That's another thing that I think this Alabama offense is elite at. Ty Simpson in particular just seems to be operating at a very high level, knows exactly where he wants to go with the ball in those kind of down situations. And LSU's defense just hasn't been as disciplined these last couple of weeks. I mean, there was a point earlier this year where a lot of us here in Baton Rouge, after watching the first 5 games, thought this was one of the best defenses in the country, and they've just gotten completely, blown up in these last couple of games against Vanderbilt and Texas A&M. And so I'll be very curious to see kind of what happens in this game and just what their response is after having a couple weeks to prepare for the Tide.
Glenn, y'all been down there Tiger Land drinking too much of that funny juice.
Probably. I think we thought after the Clemson game, after the Florida game, and hell, even after holding Ole Miss to 24 points, that offense to 24 points, we thought that was a big win for LSU to hold those guys to 24 points. And it's just been all downhill, though, from there for LSU's defense. So.
All right, before we get to predictions, I'm going to pass it around. Give me a quick answer. Which team has the edge and where? Marvin, I'll start with you. Quay Russaw is going to be back this week. Is that a decided advantage having him back in the lineup? What advantage or edge does Alabama have? I know we're being very objective tonight, but we got to talk up our teams, and we'll go to Pettey and then Glenn.
I mean, clearly the obvious advantage here is going to be playing the game in Tuscaloosa Bryant-Denny Stadium. So that's a clear advantage right there. So that within itself, boom, crowd noise. So again, once you start introducing that crowd noise and offenses struggle with communication, especially offense that's been struggling all season, crowd noise can help get them off rhythm, meaning, you start getting the false starts. You're putting them in 1st and 15, 2nd and long, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, other situations like that. And it makes it harder for a struggling offense to operate. So home field advantage clearly is going to be the biggest advantage in this game. The second biggest advantage here is going to be Alabama, Ty Simpson. Ty has passed the ball at a level that many can only dream about. Ty has been extremely efficient this season. Ty has came out and proved everyone wrong, including myself, that he can actually be that guy and perform at a level that none of us seen him going to, to perform at. So clearly those are going to be the two advantages here. Ty Simpson and Bryant-Denny Stadium. So what I got.
Pettey, where do you stand? Is it all on Ty, or do we have some other guys that can take the pressure off of him?
Until we can stop the damn run, yeah, it's on Ty.
See, and that's where I'm going to say, not so fast, Marvin, because I think that's where Bama's strongest advantage comes Saturday night. It's going to be Bama's defensive line that has steadily gotten better throughout the season. Pierre's gotten better. Smith he's probably going to get us a 15-yard penalty or something stupid at some point.
Guaranteed.
But I've watched a lot of LSU football. I've watched Nussmeier run for his life this year. The kid has not had much time, and I expect Alabama's defensive line to have a really good night. We can talk about Ty, we can talk about all that, but I think that's where the biggest advantage of this game, and I think that can disrupt LSU's offense a lot. And I think Alabama's going to have enough offense. It's going to, maybe you mentioned the Ole Miss LSU. I think it could mirror that game a lot, where it's just too much offense and LSU not having enough because of the offensive line struggles. I think that's been a huge Achilles heel. And I don't know how healthy Nuss is at this point. Yeah. Maybe he has looked like he's had a little more pop on his ball lately, but like you said, he's just getting killed.
Yeah, he's been a little healthier. I think the injury is now a thing of the past for him.
Okay.
And, it's just it's been one thing after another, though. As soon as he gets healthy, the pass protection really just takes a nosedive, and he's been really running for his life the last couple of weeks. Yeah. For me, I don't see many advantages for LSU in this game. I think for me, the one advantage that I think you can maybe say LSU has is that they have nothing to play for, and so they're going to throw a lot of things at Alabama and see what sticks. That's not a great one to have, but it's what I got because I think there's just
gonna say they have a tiger and they could just unleash him and let him.
A wounded tiger is not something I'd want to mess with, but I think this team has some talent to it, and they have some pride. They always seem to play up to Alabama whenever they play, and I think they can keep this in the ballpark for a little bit. I don't know if that's a half, if that's 3/4, but I think LSU is going to come out with some fire to them, and maybe make this a little bit more interesting than we're thinking.
You mentioned something earlier that I don't think you quite touched on enough. Van Buren, we know who he is, and one of Alabama's struggles is an elusive quarterback. How much will he see the field? And what kind of problems do you think he can present for Alabama if he is inserted in the lineup? Not necessarily a lot, but just enough.
He's definitely a little bit more mobile. I mean, like Nussmeier is your pure pocket passer. He's not a guy that's going to scramble a whole ton, but Van Buren has some of that ability, and we saw that in a couple of his opportunities that he's had this year to play. Even at the very tail end of the Texas A&M game, when the game was far out of reach, they yanked Nussmeier, and Van Buren leads them on a 65-yard touchdown drive in the fourth quarter when the game's already well out of reach. But some really interesting, good things that we saw from him. His balls were accurate. His footballs were accurate, I should say. He did a pretty good job. He did a pretty good job running as well on that series, and so I think they're going to try to get him involved a little bit, whether that's 5 snaps, 7 snaps, 10 snaps. I couldn't tell you, but down by the goal line in particular, I think is where he can maybe have some impact. I think on 3rd and short, If LSU needs a couple yards and they have some RPO game that they feel like they can use him in, and a package that they feel like he can be useful in, I think he's somebody that can be serviceable in helping LSU keep drives alive. But Nussmeier is certainly going to be their starting quarterback and on the field, I would guess, for the majority of the time.
All right, good stuff. Let's quickly get to a few questions from the audience. And first, we're going to go with tough as nails. Glenn, I think this is more directed towards you. I heard Matt Moscona going to be a new LSU coach. Any truth to that? He knows everything.
Man, you guys, I bet have a ton of fun with him, huh? I'll steer clear of that one. Look, Moscona is a character. I know him a little bit through the beat, and I know he's got certainly some back and forth with Alabama fans. I think at the end of the day, it's all in good fun, but certainly I don't expect Matt Moscona to be the next head coach of LSU.
RTR Mimi, are you kidding? LSU fans have to be thrilled that Kelly's gone. Bizarre events aside, the firing should be celebrated. No?
Oh yeah, they're happy.
I think so. Look, the fan base is happy. I think just from a internal perspective of looking at it from a the administration standpoint, from a university standpoint, it was just about making the dollars and cents work, and they have enough big donors here that are going to be able to pay that buyout and certainly pay the next coach too, because this is a $100 million investment at the end of the day to pay off Brian Kelly, to pay off his staff, to pay the next guy and his staff, and then build a roster around that next coach and his staff. It's a pretty crazy investment that they're going to go down here now the next several months.
Joe Edwards, let me get to that. What does Ty need to do to avoid his passes being batted down by the LSU defensive line?
Throw it over him.
Leave Wilkin Farm being Taco Casa parking lot.
I didn't say it.
Simple question, simple answer. Absolutely. Ty Simpson's burner. Will y'all talk about the new playoff rankings? Honestly, guys, this is just all cosmetic right now. They don't mean a dang thing. Just win out. Leave no doubt. You're in.
I like them. You want my honest opinion? I love them. They look good to me.
Yeah, no complaints here. I love seeing a couple SEC teams in there. It makes makes the conference look better, and certainly for future years, that's going to be a big selling point for the conference as they move forward.
All right, and we got Chris Kemp. What about the Shaq rumor of Saban back to LSU?
Yeah, that was squashed today too. That was a fun hour and a half there where we thought, look, I do think at the end of the day, and this is important to know, that the one regret that Saban did have in his career was leaving LSU. And he obviously built a great dynasty in Alabama, and I don't see any scenario where he comes back and coaches at LSU, because a lot of the same problems that existed a couple of years ago when he left, or the issues that he had when he retired, are still here, and if not magnified. So what would he be coming back to is a even more out of structure college football model than he left. And so I don't see anything happening there. I do think that he still has a lot of friends in Baton Rouge, and there were probably some very, very, very informal conversations, maybe last week about, hey man, would you ever consider coming back or anything? And you say no. He said,
we'll give you Lake Pontchartrain.
Yes, exactly. So actually, Verge Osbury, the LSU's athletic director, came out today and said essentially that they had, they talked 2 or 3 times every month, and that, these things come up, but there's no interest from Saban's part to get back into coaching.
Well, here's your solution. Here's your solution, Glenn. Don Parker, $5. Thank you, brother. Bring back Coach O.
Listen, man, you get the right head coach around LSU. You bring Coach O back in as a defensive line coach or an analyst. He can be great for your recruiting. He can be great for your program building and selling the vision of LSU. I don't see it. I mean, I think he's going to have opportunities to go elsewhere, and we'll see what happens, though. I mean, if Kiffin becomes an interesting possibility, because he and Lane Kiffin are very tight, and if that does end up being something that moves forward for LSU, I could see maybe in that scenario where Kiffin calls up his old buddy.
Not a chance. All these open jobs out here, if I've won a national championship, I'm not going somewhere to beat somebody's damn D-line coach.
He didn't deny it a couple weeks ago when he was asked.
He's not getting a head coaching job. He knows what but I'll say this. I felt like, I know there's probably more to the story and can't go into it on this, that I thought he burned a few bridges with with boosters and people within the athletic department by some actions.
You can burn all the bridges you want to. It does not damn matter. At the end of the day, LSU needs a coach. Auburn needs a coach. Arkansas needs a coach. Florida needs a coach. Penn State needs a coach. UCLA needs a coach. You think there's a damn coaching tree out here where they can just go find quality damn coaches?
Well, Marvin, apparently Lane Kiffin is going to take every one of those jobs and save them all.
National championship winning coach.
Big undertaking he's going to be having here.
Lane's got a hell of a job next year.
As a national championship winning coach, somebody will give that man an opportunity. Because, again, after you fired your coach and with the money on the line here, damn, this favoritism crap. With the amount of money on the line here, you better with somebody who's going to.
Wait, you think somebody's going to give Orgeron a head coaching chance, Marvin?
Yeah.
Oh, please sign me. I don't think so, but I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where he could work his way up, back into that conversation if he goes to be a position
I think
coach.
you'll see someone very desperate in this because here's the thing. Again, you got too many Power 4 schools that need head coaches. There's only so many available hot coaching candidates to fill these jobs. So at what point do you say, okay, we're going to either roll the dice with the up-and-coming coach, or we can at least deal with the Ed Orgeron and his BS. At least we know he's won a national championship and you understand what it takes. Now, there's going to be a lot of crap that comes with that. But
the guy that LSU's going to hiring won that damn national title, and his name's Joe Brady, and he had Joe Burrow and a damn unbelievable cast. Orgeron, I'm going to stop.
All right,
I understand what you're saying, but hear me and hear me well.
He got fired a year later.
I hear what you're saying, but here's the thing.
Year and a half.
There's a lot of head coaching vacancies, and people are going to start to get desperate as people start to come off the board.
I hope so.
We've seen it numerous times. What do they call it? When people start to buy stuff, FOMO. I'm telling you, man.
You're right, Mark. I changed Auburn. Did you hear that? Ed Orgeron is available. Give him a call.
I was going to say UCLA. I mean, he's got some great coaching connections out in California from his time at USC. If
I don't know.
He don't like that sissy blue.
Yeah, exactly.
They might have to approach the sissy blue comments.
Hey, one comment we got to address. Keith Holcomb, one X factor no one is talking about is DeBoer's record in big games. He does his best coaching when the lights are the brightest. We say it every week. There is no disputing this. But it does become a little bit more difficult when you don't know what to plan for. And LSU is a mystery right now. And we'll see what they're bringing to the field this coming Saturday. But, yeah, always bet on Kalen DeBoer. We got one more super chat from Don Parker before we get to our predictions. $2. Bring in Farmer Fran, too, from the Water Boy. Appreciate that, Don. All right. Before we get out, we got to do it. Alabama versus LSU predictions. Let our guests go last. Start us out, Marvin, Pettey, and Glenn.
I'm going to go, oh, God, this is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
38. 38.
Apparently
17.
Dental surgery.
I'm going 38-17.
38-17. And Glenn, to your point, man, I think you would see it in the chat because of who the team is and the history of this game the last decade and a half. I think a lot of Alabama fans still do respect the uniform that's traveling to Bryant-Denny. It is always a good game. I do expect the team to play a little different for Frank Wilson. So I expect a fight for a couple of quarters. I won't be shocked at all if this is a really close ball game. I do expect Bama to pull away late just because I think LSU's offensive line is going to be a problem. I think Alabama's defense is a lot better than people give it credit for. Womack's a good defensive coordinator. I don't know a score.
You've been on that funny juice again?
28-17. Well, I guess I'm in the same anguish of dental surgery as you, Marvin. 28-17, Alabama.
All right.
Man,
Glenn?
you score. He took my score. I was going to go 28-17. I'm going to go 30-20. I think I think LSU is going to, like you mentioned, maybe put up a fight for a half or three quarters and be competitive in this game. But I do expect Bama to pull away here a little bit and win by a couple scores. But the thing I think I just want to see from LSU more than anything is just show that you care, show that you have some fight left in this season. And this is the game that you have to get up for if you're LSU. If you don't get up for this game, I don't see them getting up for any other game this season. So if they're able to show some fight this weekend, I think that's a win for me.
All right. Got it. All right. Before I pass it around the room for everyone to say where they can be found on social media, I'll remind everybody immediately following the game this Saturday, we will be live for the post-game show to give immediate reactions. Everyone tune in for that. Great show, guys. Marvin starts out. Where can people find you? And then we'll go to Daniel, and Glenn will go last.
You can find me on Instagram, Constant45. You can find me on X, Constant451.
Pettey_Daniel, and I'm going to have to hop off real quick because I'm about to be on the final whistle hosting that show. Glenn, I really enjoyed it tonight, man. Heck of a guest and enjoyed chatting with you, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys for
wearing that Alabama shirt as well. Thank you.
Look, I had the colors. I had the colors picked out for you guys, just perfect, right? So, you guys can follow me at Glen West 21 on Twitter. Most of the people watching this are probably never going to go on Go 24/7 and on our site, but we'd love to have you guys over there to have some comments if you do ever travel over there. So appreciate you guys for having me on.
Yeah, absolute honor, man. We greatly appreciate you taking the time, and we'll be calling you again, man. We'd love to have you back on in the future.
Sure thing. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir. Well, that's going to do it for all of us here at the Bama Standard. Thank you, everyone who participated in our chat tonight. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for all the comments. We will see you as soon as the game hits 0-0-0. Until then, roll tide.
Roll tide.